What time's that?
Well, it's time for if you have the choice to make a good movie, you have the responsibility to make that movie.
You really planned
See,
that one out, didn't you?
there were such little memorable lines from these two films that's the best I could come up with.
Yeah, and they were always at the end of the film.
No, that one was at the beginning.
Was it not at the end? Where he's like...
That's when Uncle Ben's
promises.
like,
Anyways.
they aren't very good.
No, well, right, yeah, well, I think we need to sort of, like, bring this out straight away. Like, we are doing Amazing Spider-Man, obviously, if you read from the title, but we don't really like these films.
I think they're fucking dreadful.
Well, I'm not a big fan, but I never kind of was like, oh my god, these are, and pun intended, amazing. You know, like... I never, even like when I was like 12 and 14, when, you know, first and second one came out, I never thought, or no, was it 15? No, it was 14.
It was 2012 and 2014.
Yeah, well, I was never like a massive fan of them. Like,
Actually, I really liked Amazing Spider-Man when I saw it in the cinema, because I was like a kid.
well, it was just
I
more
was like,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man! This is more Spider-Man.
Well, I think straight away, to sort of bring this in, but I think this reboot was kind of warranted to the point where it was like, it had been 5 years at least.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it was announced about 2010.
Yeah.
By that point, I think they knew they were rebooting it.
Yeah.
I think after Spider-Man 3, they probably knew they were rebooting it, but...
Or at least 2 years after.
Well, the franchise was a mess. The MCU was just taking off.
Mm-hmm.
There was none of this kind of Spider-Verse yet.
Yeah. It was literally the year of, you know, the first Avengers film.
Yeah, first Avengers came out. What had Mark Webb done at that point?
500 Days of
He
Summer.
did 500 Days of Summer. Andrew Garfield was coming off Social Network. Emma Stone off Zombieland.
As well as stuff like Easy A and stuff. Easy A, sorry.
Easy.
Easy.
Straight.
Well, like, I think the way we'll probably talk about this is we'll talk about the first one, we'll talk about the second one, we'll talk about the third one that never happened, and then
if there's time, I'll talk about the games.
yeah, and we'll also talk about like all the spin-offs that were cancelled but might be happening now. And obviously to
Who the
kind of
fuck
tie
knows?
into the whole Venomverse, which teaser for next week. But yeah.
Yeah, because that's true. There's a lot of stuff we don't know yet. Because we don't have Venom yet.
Sadly not. That's why it was good that we're doing this
Yay.
before we go see Venom 2.
Who knows? Maybe Andrew Garfield's in it.
Is he?
I don't know. I haven't looked anything
Oh.
up.
That's why I was like, really, is he?
Yeah, I'm surprised you believed that, to be honest.
Well, I see the thing with Venom is I always think that kind of film series kind of feels more authentic to this universe. Probably because it's very Sony dominated.
And it's also not very good.
Well,
We'll get to it.
we'll get to that next week.
Let's start with Amazing Spider-Man. So Mark Webb directed, released in 2012. No Toby starring. First one's fine.
Is it?
It's not. It's not the second one.
Well, I don't know how I feel about it because I don't really. I think we'll just compare it to like the first Spider-Man film because I think they're the two films you can kind of compare. You know.
Yeah, there's
the
lots of similarities.
Yeah. I think you compare the second Amazing Spider-Man more to 3.
Because it's the worst one.
Well, also it has similar problems. But yeah, I think first of all, the kind of like strong point of this film, I feel, is, and the one smart thing they did was the fact that there is only one villain. I think
Is there?
Well, there is really.
There's so much other shit going on.
There is a lot of. I think this film. You saw the beginnings of problems, which mainly happened in the second film. But my problem with this film is, I don't enjoy this film the same way I enjoyed the first Spider-Man film, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man film.
Because it's in no way self-aware.
They're so different. I think it takes itself too seriously. you know, I think the good thing about the Raimi trilogy was at least it was like, you know, there were serious moments, but there was a bit of, you know, we're sort of a bit self-aware here, we're kind of taking the piss a wee bit, like.
And especially the one Dafoe.
Oh, yeah, that was just amazing.
Ironically, yeah. Also, I want to we say this a lot. Just watch Cosmonaut's video if we come across as rambly, because he's probably.
No, because I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to disagree with what you say.
Ooh, interesting.
Well, I don't think he's a good source in terms of analysing films, because he analyses them very, very, very harshly. Like,
yeah,
he'll pull out stuff that is just like, wait, no, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, bar him talking about BVS.
Man of Steel.
Right, we'll leave that for now. Yeah. Right, let's break down Amazing Spider-Man. How does this movie start? It's
very slow and
starts with
Peter Parker's parents.
Peter Parker's parents.
Yeah. For some reason.
Yeah, all of these films are Peter Parker's fucking parents.
I don't know what. I wonder. I don't understand why they started with that.
Ultimate Comics.
Yeah,
that's the only reason. Ultimate wasn't even popular. Was the funny thing.
Ultimate was more popular in hindsight, I feel.
Ultimate Spider-Man
like
was
now,
popular, I guess, but
people are big, you know, of it now, like, especially when it ended.
Yeah, especially when it ended, because I know Tom Holland has said that Ultimate was his main inspiration, but it was also very, very deeply rooted in the Amazing Spider-Man series, where everything's Oscorp.
Yeah, that's my major kind of problem with it.
Yeah, well, Oscorp has never really developed. I think it maybe could have helped having Norman Osborn in this first one.
They just mention him.
They mention him a lot. Yeah. And just keep mentioning that he's dying.
But I think it's so pointless to mention someone that they don't even show even at the end of the film. You know, like, had they showed him at the end of the film, been like, oh, okay, fair enough, at least. But they don't even until the next film.
Yeah, well, they didn't know what they were doing. It's the same reason, like, the Harry and Peter relationship.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of like, I don't like Gwen and Peter's relationships in these films. Because it's very
toxic.
But also the fact that their dialogue is it's kind of too natural straight away. Like, they're just talking to each other and it's very natural. It feels like, alright, these people already know each other, but they don't.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They do kind of start dating. Yeah. I don't know. I guess they are supposed to be like 16 though.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have to allow some excuses of just so like at that age people just do everything so fucking fast.
Yeah, they just don't kind of look that age whatsoever.
No, that's a massive disconnect because they do look like they're in their
early 20s
to late 20s.
Yeah.
Well, no, because Emma Stone would be in early 20s at that point. But yeah, Andrew Garfield was like mid to late 20s at that point, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like, I think.
I don't know why they didn't just be like, right, fuck it, we'll just have him in college or something. Or
because they didn't want to create confusion between it being a sequel to Spider-Man 3.
That's true.
I can honestly say that's probably the only reason they did
this origin story all over again.
Yeah, but like they did the same thing where he's not a proper high schooler. The school doesn't really matter. He's that kind of finishing high school age.
Yeah.
Which they did in Spider-Man 1. Well, Spider-Man 1 barely focused on the school part.
It's literally just the first act.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just after that they moved past it.
Just to get it over with.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what Holland's at least done well, is that they've actually focused on the school aspect a bit more.
And they all kind of look that age. You know.
Yeah, I do think, well, we'll get to next to it, but I think this one, it'll be good, this one being the last one set in high school.
Yeah. No,
we're just kind of
agree. But no, first one, because, right, first thing I will say about these films, I do think the CGI is good.
So, CGI is very good. The designs, on the other hand, are not.
Because we talked about this, like, last year or the year before, because we were having this discussion of, I think it was, like, the lizard we were talking about specifically, like.
We know some people that love every aspect of these films.
Yes, and
So, they have come up a lot. Or, without just any reasoning, it's like, oh, the lizard's a shit villain. No, he's not, he's good. And I'm like...
Well, what's the reason?
No, he's so bad.
Well, I think it's just... a character. Well, I think casted well. I think it was good casting.
I actually quite like the Dr. Connor stuff. It's just as soon as he becomes the lizard, it's just so uninteresting.
Like, you understand his motivations and why he wants to do this, and, you know, to people who don't know of Dr. Connors in the comics and stuff, like. But I think the problem that they don't treat I don't know, it's very strange. Like,
it needed to be more of a Jekyll and Hyde situation.
Yeah, more than
he felt way too sound. He felt way too sound of mind.
Yeah, because that's how it like. The comics I've read, that's what it's very much like. Where it's almost like even a werewolf kind of type of situation, you know, where, like, you know, turned into this creature, doesn't really know, and it's almost like this big kind of struggle in a way. But you don't get that sense at all in this film.
But I'm gonna guess they didn't want to do it because they did it with Spider-Man 1 and 2.
I suppose, yeah. But I think the problem is...
But then don't do the lizard.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think the lizard's so synonymous with that, you know...
struggle, that kind of hope kind of scenario.
Like, you could do it with some, like, Electro, obviously. Doesn't need that kind of characterization.
But then they did that for Electro.
Exactly, this is the problem.
I'll stay on topic of the first, like...
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of stuff people say, oh, well, he's a skater boy punk, and I'm like, yeah, it's not great. And then they drop it in the second film. But the first one just has extended scenes of him just kind of skateboarding.
Yeah.
Which was funny, because I would have understood it if they did that in the Raimi trilogy, because that was when skateboarding was relevant.
This was like 2012, and we just kind of...
By 2012, we had no Tony Hawk games coming out, and Skate 3 was already out. That was the end of the...
Hipsters were the only kind of people doing that, in a way.
Yeah, Skate 3 marked the final end of the skateboarding era.
Yeah.
And that was like when it was already dying out. Like, the skateboarding era was like mid to late 90s till 2000s. Like, it was very late to do a
PlayStation 2
character.
Era, as I like to say.
PS1 era as well.
I was just more because I played Tony Hawk's Underground.
American Wasteland for me. That was my big one.
Because mine had Bam Margera in it, and I was loving it. Like, how could you think of something more to
the only place you can see Bam these days?
Oh, I know, it's sad. But that is just like the most encapsulating thing of, you know,
Tony Hawk and Bam in a game.
A Tony Hawk game playing on like an old, you know, TV that was wired with transistors, you know, and Bam Margera's fucking in it, like.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I think the score, I actually don't mind the score. I don't think it's obviously as powerful as, you know, Danny Elfman's score, yeah, but I don't mind it too much. I do enjoy it. I think I like the fact that, like the Raimi trilogy, they kind of do their own kind of a thing. You know how, like, Tom Holland is more of, like, that classic Spider-Man music.
Yeah.
You know, more seen from the TV shows in a way. Or the early TV shows in a way. But I like the fact that they did try and do this kind of like, you know, alright, we're just going to do this kind of new theme. I don't mind the theme too much, you know. I don't like the suit.
No, it's shite.
Yeah. Something they fix later on. But it's mainly the eyes for me. Because the eyes are kind of golden and not white.
Yeah, I don't like the dark eyes.
Yeah.
Originally, they were supposed to be black.
Yeah, even that, I don't think...
And then I think they changed it in post, because I think it was just reacted to so badly.
Yeah. Well, I think they were trying to go for that kind of, like, Dark Knight kind of a vibe, where it's like, oh, no, we want to make it, like, you know, cool and slim and, you know, dark and stuff. But it doesn't kind of work for Spider-Man, you know?
Yeah, well, especially because the MCU was already kind of trucking ahead at this point.
With comic accurate styled... Yeah,
but with Bar Hawkeye, mostly comic accurate suits.
Yeah, like, think about Thor immediately, Iron Man, you know,
Captain America.
Yeah,
Black Widow. Like, they all kind of looked comic accurate. Whereas then they came again doing, which was more of an early 2000s thing.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, we're gonna do like a Daredevil situation. We're gonna make it cooler by making it.
Yeah, or X-Men was probably one of the most egregious examples of it.
Yeah, because I find it weird that the Raimi trilogy didn't try to do this kind of like grungy, what's it called?
Dark leather suit.
Yeah, or like something like that, because that's what everything did. Blade, fair enough, that makes sense for that character. Daredevil, I can sort of understand why you'd want to do X-Men, no.
No, like not at all.
Yeah, I'm surprised that first X-Men film was as
Batman,
grungy as
it
it is.
made sense to do it for.
Yeah.
Catwoman, that was
But
awful.
it was just the fact that it was 2012. We had gone through that phase, you know.
Yeah, we were past it.
But it was kind of like the last kind of a film to do it. You know.
Was it?
Yeah, if you think about it. I was just thinking there, I don't think anything else has done it since. Like
I can think of
2012.
something that did it at the same time as it.
What?
Arrow.
Oh yeah, that's TV shows, that's different. They had no budget. I'm more so on
That's-
about like films, like
Yeah. I guess Aquaman to an extent. But that kind of
that made
dealt
more sense
in
with
with
that
his
character.
character
Yeah.
development.
Yeah.
Is the only one I can
Well,
think
just
of.
Jason Momoa being a hipster as well, but
Yeah. Well, the point was to then for him to get the classic suit at the end of Aquaman, though.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He just doesn't have a suit in that film, really.
I think it may have been Spider-Man was the last one that did it.
Mm.
Apart from maybe, yeah, Defender shows, but even then, that's still...
Aye, but they were kind of
Okay.
grounded. At least.
So was this, to an extent.
Yeah, well, I think, right, going back to the lizard design, I think the only problem I have mainly is the face. Like, had you made the face more crocodilian in a way, rather than kind of
Human-like.
lizardy human? It's just the
It could've been
grin.
fine. It was a bit thin as well. It
Yeah.
just wasn't a good design, was it? Like, at all.
Because he looks cool when he has the jacket on and it's all ripped and stuff, and he has the bag, because that's kind of like
they
very
never
classic.
do that again.
You know, huh?
And he just they never do, then he immediately loses that
Yeah, he
design.
just rips it off, like, yeah. But, like, I just find it weird that they didn't just run with that, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
With the
because
first film, it's definitely just more analysing the weird choices they made as opposed to the bad choices.
well, yeah, I feel like we'll probably talk more about the second one more, because there's so much to talk about.
There'll
in
be
that
so
film.
much more to talk about because I genuinely think the first one is somewhat watchable.
Yeah, I don't think it's the
Uncle
worst.
Ben's awful. Uncle Ben's near
there's-
insufferable.
I think there's just too many characters. Like, there's too many. For Peter, in his first film, there's too many characters that you're introduced to, and there's so many relationships you have to kind of like maintain in that first
Yeah,
film.
but I'd argue Spider-Man 1 does the exact same because they do Uncle Ben, they do Aunt May, they do Mary Jane, they do J. Jonah Jameson, they do Harry Osborn, they do Norman Osborn, Betty Brant. They introduce all these relationships.
But
which
two
continue
are
over
very
the
kind of
trilogy.
side characters. If you
But
think
like,
about it.
what did this film have to do?
Well, it had Uncle Ben, it had his parents for a start.
It did have his parents. That was
That's
two
the
big
main
ones.
problem. Like, if you get rid of the parents, fair enough. I don't criticize it too much. But the fact that straight away you have the parents, then you have Aunt May and Uncle Ben, then you have Gwen Stacy, and
And you have Dr. Connors.
yeah, you have Dr. Connors, and then you have Gwen Stacy's father. You know,
Oh, I forgot about fucking.
There's- how
I
could you
forgot about the
forget?
saber,
How
the
could you
saber tooth from Ice Age.
but like, because it's the fact that fair enough, I can believe the relationship between Aunt May and Uncle, and Uncle Ben,
Peter?
like,
Yeah.
because that's like, we kind of know it all by that stage in a way. But the rest is all kind of like, he's kind of only met all these people, you know. Because at least like,
And then he forms this like strong brotherly bond with Captain Stacy.
yeah, which is, I don't know. I think the relationship is very, it's not done well.
Not good. Well, the thing
Yeah.
is, they could have
They rely too
continued
much
that
on it.
over. They could have continued that over 2 films.
Yeah, because they were obviously trying to go for the whole, the father figure thing.
Yeah, and they were also building towards Gwen's death
Yeah.
the whole time.
Which should have happened
Because-
in the third film.
It should have happened in the 3rd film.
You know?
I would have killed Captain Stacy. Because the thing is, so we'll get to it when we talk about 3. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like Emma Stone was constantly trying to get out of the role, to my knowledge.
Mm.
It wasn't an issue of her saying, I don't want to do it anymore, so they killed her. The Gwen Stacy as a character is designed to die.
But everyone knows that.
Because this was pre-Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
Like, Spider-Gwen is kind of what she's associated with now, especially after the Spider-Verse film.
Yeah, so people don't really think too much about... Like, I don't think you'll see her die again, is what I'm saying.
Probably not.
No.
I don't think Holland's films are going to do Gwen Stacy just at all.
And
Unless
if they
she
are, they'll
appears.
do Spider-Gwen,
No, do Spider-Gwen.
which I'll be like, okay.
Yeah, because I know there's a couple of different rumors. Will it be Emma Stone in a multiverse thing? Will it be, I think, some Disney Channel girl, I think, wanted the role at one point. But, yeah, but this one, she's just designed to die.
Yeah.
Even in terms of... So Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a lot of... We knew everything about that film when it came out.
What do you mean?
No.
In what kind of a way? Oh, what was going to happen?
Yeah, it was just
yeah.
most kind of... Even the first one as well, it just came down to these films have some of the most poor marketing you've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, because they tease the Green Goblin. Like, he's on the fucking poster.
He's on the poster.
You know...
But the first film, they gave away the... What's his name again? The Mr... The guy who's trying to rally the Sinister Six.
Oh, yeah, I can't even remember his name. He's a very vague figure in the
Mr.
comic.
Miscellaneous or something like that.
Yeah, like he's...
So he's trying to round
We just
up
move
the
on
Sinister...
from that.
Yeah, we're moving on from that. Right. He's trying to round up the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
And like that was given away in the trailer. Because I remember there was a line in the trailer something like,
But
does
they
he
cut
know
it in the
about
film.
his father? Was that in the film?
No, because in the film it's in the post-credit scene. But the problem is, in the trailer it's extended. They just cut it down for the actual film.
Mental.
That's a bit strange. Yeah, because it was something even in like the second Amazing Spider-Man film where it was like, oh, they really cut his role down. Because the problem with the main Spider-Man film, the second one, straight away is, these are the villains. And all these villains are only introduced in this film. Electro, Green Goblin, the Rhino. Who else? There is more, I imagine. Basically that entire room, I imagine.
In terms of who's introduced... Oh, that was hilarious. Oh, Black Cat.
What? Black
Black
Cat?
Cat as
Yeah,
well.
Black Cat, yeah.
So the funniest thing is, they filmed like a 3-hour film.
Yeah.
So apparently
I called
Felicity
it
Jones...
40 minutes.
Felicity Jones filmed scenes as Black Cat. And they cut them.
Well, there's
Like-
actually so many scenes from this. Like, because you have the whole Mary Jane stuff cut.
Shailene Woodley, yeah.
And she had many scenes.
She apparently had 3 scenes.
Yeah.
It was apparently like a 10-minute roll, which is quite a lot, actually. That's quite long. When we're saying there was about half an hour cut. Because who else got cut? Peter's dad?
Yeah, the alternate ending.
Was that the Peter's dad thing?
Yeah, where he comes to the grave.
So there was Peter's dad. I'm assuming Paul Giamatti probably had more to do.
Probably.
I think Dane DeHaan had more to do.
Yeah.
I
say
don't know
even Norman Osborn.
So we'll get back into that when we talk about the third film.
Yeah.
So, are we now on to 2? Are we on to 2?
Yeah, no, we're on to 2.
Right.
Not much to talk about with the first one, to be honest.
It's just such a painfully bland film.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the one bit of praise I can give to 2 as we start. The first scene of Spider-Man swinging is phenomenal.
Yeah. No. It's not the first scene of the film.
I know it's not the first scene of the film. We have
You
that
wish it
fucking
was the first scene of the
stupid-ass
film.
Bourne scene.
Well, it's
It
it should have been the start of the film.
So I'm going to scroll back through my chat with Alex, because one time I got stuck on a weird thought where I actually did praise Amazing Spider-Man to a point. And I actually have it here.
Yeah.
So, after I thought of this one time before I actually rewatched the film.
Yeah.
So I've rewatched the film and I want to see if this is now relevant. So I said at the time, a big difference between Spider-Man and other heroes is the whole friendly neighborhood aspect of the character. Spider-Man is supposed to give hope to people individually, unlike, let's say, Superman, where the hope is kind of, he's the symbol for mankind to strive towards. The film's never shown the existence of Spider-Man effects on people's lives, except in Amazing 2, where we see him doing more little things, and how people kind of need Spider-Man in their community. As opposed to Rated Me films, where they're just kind of like, he can save the day. Like, as soon as he gets the black suit, they just, like, turn on him.
Yeah.
For no proper I guess they do the Eddie Brock thing, but, like, the city just, like, believed it immediately. Whereas every kind of individual person Andrew saved throughout those films, they show that he left an impact on, whether it be that kid from Amazing Spider-Man 2 or even Electro. That's the only good thing I'm going to say about this film. Actually, after reading it, I think that's true. I think that is a very true point by my fact, and I want to pat myself on the back.
I just love how he's like, yeah, no, that's it. No, because like
That's it.
especially even that kid, because that kid, he saves him at the start, with the kind of montagey kind of thing, first act, and then obviously that plays into the end of the film. No, I understand. Yeah, I just wish the first film had been more about that.
Yeah, the first film, he's just kind of a menace, but quite literally a menace.
Because like we'll move on to that to a different episode. I was gonna say like Homecoming's more grounded in that kind of a way, I feel. But anyways, we'll get to that someday.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say about Amazing Spider-Man 2 before I start ripping it to shreds?
Anything good?
Yeah.
The opening scene where he's swinging about. I like the suit. I think it's the best suit we've ever had, live action, Spider-Man wise. Just perfect. I think it is just my perfect kind of Spider-Man suit. No, go ahead. Yeah.
Right. So I'm gonna break it down a little differently. Usually, we might break it down as the film progresses. Let's just break this film down character by character. I think that'll be a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with Electro. So Electro is fucking dreadful.
The first character we can see in the film, really, other than the Rhino. Yeah.
So Jamie Foxx was announced. When Jamie Foxx was announced as Electro, it was a big deal. This was after Django Unchained. Jamie Foxx was fucking hot shit in Hollywood. Because he was always big, but he went from being like
everything. Then
he went from being like a high tier like B-list actor to being like top of A-list.
Yeah.
Especially because I don't think there's many A-listers anymore, so I don't see that as an insult on them. There's like not many.
A list of A-listers would be endless almost. Yeah.
There's not many A-listers anymore in Hollywood. That was more of a thing in the previous century with people like Arnie and Stallone selling action films because they were the star.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get that anymore, apart from maybe DiCaprio.
Yeah.
I think he's the only kind of one. And to an extent, Keanu Reeves.
I was going to say Brad Pitt, but go on.
Brad Pitt, yeah. And I'd say Brad Pitt, Keanu Reeves, and Leo. Are the three I could think of.
Yeah.
Because like Chris Hemsworth, nothing outside the MCU people care about.
Yeah,
Robert Downey Jr. pretty much the same. Johnny Depp is, cancelled.
Yeah.
So Electro, Jamie Foxx is Electro. That was fucking... And this was before the time it was like a regular thing of race changing characters. Like, to an extent, especially with kind of more side characters and villains, it really doesn't matter. Like, who plays them? Obviously, I think with superheroes, I think it's a little different. Like, I'd rather have a Miles Morales than if they just race changed Peter Parker.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no,
because
I'd rather see, like, a completely different character,
Yeah, I think it's more interesting who encompasses that kind of community.
Yeah, because all you're kind of saying by doing that, or like if you just get like Kal-El, Clark Kent, for example, just make him black, all you're saying is, black people don't deserve their own character, which is a terrible thing, because like...
Here, you can have one of ours.
Yeah, like I hate that sort of a thing, which is like, well, why don't you just make a character that is just so cool? Like look at Miles, for example.
Yeah, like Miles is like the
Miles is a
example.
household name now.
Yeah,
and he's brand new, like in the past, 10 years?
He's about 10-year-old and he's pretty iconic now. He's like easily the superhero in the last 10 years has probably made the most impact. At least out of new ones.
Because before that, everyone just knew, sure, Peter Parker, that's it. Yeah,
no one knew Ben Reilly, no one knew any of the kind of other ones. Spider-Woman, no one really cared about. Yeah, during the Clone Saga. So it's like, it was a big deal Electro being cast. Like, I don't care when it's like, they want to make Jamie Foxx like, that doesn't really bother me. I think villains are already so kind of vague, as is.
Well, I just think, villains are just like a template that you can just have anyone kind of be. Like, look at the Joker. Joker could be it could be a woman, it could be a man, it could be any race in the world, like,
what's important is how they play off the hero when it comes to a villain.
And that kind of dynamic.
Yeah, so anyway, Jamie Foxx is announced as Electro. Big fucking deal, like, wasn't doing the MCU, wasn't doing a DC film, he was doing Spider-Man. And I remember the first trailer was him, and the design came out, and it was a bit like, oh.
Well, I was kind of like,
And
oh, he's blue. Oh, okay, they're going for that. Okay, that's not bad. I suppose,
which was based on Ultimate Spider-Man.
yeah.
So Jamie Foxx was apparently really upset. He wanted the full
Yellow.
spandex gear. He wanted all of it.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
then they
even
were
think that design would have looked better if it was yellow.
yeah,
I think the
would have been
blue
less
makes it
painful
just
on the
as
eyes.
bad.
So yeah, so he's introduced being as basically a socially awkward freak who basically thinks. Then Andrew Garfield flirts with him for a bit.
Well, I wouldn't say he flirts with him. I
Oh,
don't
he
think-
does though,
He's just doing this Andrew Garfield thing, isn't he?
letting everything else get destroyed.
Yeah.
So he does that, and then Spider-Man. Then he falls in love with Spider-Man, and then he falls into a vat of eels on his birthday.
Yeah. It's
Why
the
are
worst
those
day
eel?
ever.
Why are those eels there?
Yeah, that's Oscorp. It's the Oscorp villain. It's your villain origin story building. Do you not know, Adam? This is the rules. You go in the Oscorp, and you get
come out a villain.
your story, and that's how you become a villain. Because it's happened
It
with
sounds
every
like a black-
character so far in this fucking franchise.
It sounds like a Black Mirror episode where it's like you go to Oscorp and find out your purpose in life.
Yeah. Well, I even think it's worse. It's not even just the villains; it's the heroes as well. 'Cause
Everyone.
fucking Peter, that happened.
Peter's dad.
Oh Jesus! Anyways, go on.
So, and then he shows up in Times Square, falls out with Spider-Man for no reason.
Yeah.
I don't know what his
Why
motivation
was it?
is.
Oh no, it was because
It's because everyone
he
started
wasn't getting
looking
enough
at him.
attention.
Everyone was looking at him,
Mm.
and he was loving it. And then Spider-Man shows up, and everyone looks at him,
Yeah.
and he goes, fuck you, Spider-Man."
Yeah, you're being a
And then
dick
wants
or
to kill
whatever.
him.
Yeah. So that's
Like,
his
doesn't care that
motivation.
Spider-Man forgot his name, doesn't... But no.
Yeah, because that's what I always thought it was, and I was like, oh, what's wrong with that? You know.
And then he plays a load of dubstep.
I don't mind that. I do like the fact that his theme music is based around electric music.
Honestly, I think I actually much
With
more
Hans Zimmer,
preferred
though.
it. I much preferred it in the final battle.
Yeah.
Where he was
Oh,
kinda
yeah,
like,
yeah, where it's all the
'cause
coils.
Yeah, because the score then mixed in with him hitting off the coils. I
Yeah.
thought that was actually pretty... You know what? Two good things about that film. That
Hans
seems
Zimmer.
kind of cool.
Hans Zimmer's score.
Yeah.
Because I even think the Green Goblin score in this is interesting.
And I quite like the Peter and Gwen theme a bit.
Yeah. That's just hands, though, isn't it? Anyways, let's continue.
So then, yeah, Electro just kind of explodes then for some reason.
No, he doesn't explode. No. Peter shoots water at him.
Oh, sorry, I skipped way ahead. To
Yeah.
the final battle.
You were like, no,
there
no,
was
no,
so much I forgot.
Yeah.
So then Peter shoots a bunch
You
of water
skipped
at him.
about 2 hours of that.
So Peter shoots a bunch of water at him, then he goes to some jail where
Where they leave him underwater.
he has this really weird kind of flirtation session with the torch. He's like, "Oh, give me everything you got." He's like, "Oh, I'll
Who are
give you
you?"
everything." It's like, what the
Your man
fuck
with the
is
goggles.
this? Yeah. Who, like, why didn't they just make him Doc Ock or something?
Yeah.
Like, that's how you actually can introduce a character like Doc Ock for later, because I think they were looking at Will Ferrell or someone. They were looking at some mad options for Doc Ock.
Well,
They
the thing
didn't
is, there's
list-
actually quite big names for the villains in this franchise.
Well, especially in the second one.
Yeah.
Because
Because
we'll get
post
into it. I'm gonna finish
2012
my
superheroes were like everyone wanted to be in a superhero film.
Yeah.
You know.
Let me finish my Electro rundown.
Oh yes.
Then Dane DeHaan breaks him out of jail for him to turn off all the power in the city and then die.
So, no, that's his whole character thing. Yeah.
Did you enjoy Electro?
Well, it was just he wanted revenge for Peter Parker, and he wanted to kill Peter Parker or something. I can't remember why. I think he wanted to kill Spider-Man.
Because he was on... No, he didn't want to kill Peter Parker. He didn't know.
no,
he's actually...
Spider-Man is Spider-Man.
Because he's actually the only main villain of a Spider-Man film.
Yeah.
Who doesn't find out his identity.
Yeah.
Every other one does.
Hmm.
Unless you count Rhino.
Well, you'd think he would hack. I don't know why they didn't do something cool with Electro. Electro has a lot of abilities he could do. I don't know why they made him electricity for a start. No, thinking about that, I don't know why he was just completely made up of electricity. Because I don't know if you've ever seen classic Electro, but it's just a guy with electricity abilities.
Well, as I said, it was based on Ultimate Spider-Man, though, and Ultimate Spider-Man
That's pretty much
Electro
that.
was more electricity based.
Was he was blue, wasn't he?
I think, so my only knowledge of this is from the Ultimate Spider-Man video game, where as the boss fight progresses and he gets more powerful, he then eventually becomes pure blue.
Oh, right.
So I assumed it was him like at max power.
I assume they're
Or,
trying to do like
Max
a Flash
Dillon.
type situation where it's like more powerful the color you are, or whatever. I don't know.
I don't know, well, even that's gone out the fucking window with that show.
Well, actually, Joyce thinks really interesting.
What?
I've never thought about this film solely just from the character's point of view, and I think this is a great way to break down films. Just take a character and figure out just their entire motivations and their arc, and that's it.
Because I just tried to do it for... I wasn't saying all that, to just try and inform you of what happened. I was just trying to remind myself...
Yeah.
Quite simply of what this film is about.
No, because like
and
looking back at like the Raimi ones, at least every villain in that, their arcs make sense. Like they have an actual motivations and stuff.
Yeah, we all know why they're doing what they're doing
Yeah,
when they're doing it.
It makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, no, let's continue with this. So should we go to Paul Giamatti next? As the Rhino?
Yeah, let's do Paul Giamatti because
just to get him out of the way. Yeah,
that'll be nice and quick.
Yeah.
So he's there at the beginning of the film. He's just some Russian mob boss
and
in a tracksuit. And then he appears at the end in the Rhino suit.
In a Rhino costume. Yeah, that's it. Anyways, next, who else do we have? It just shows you, Jesus, what are these films, though?
They're a fucking mess. Right, let's move to Aunt May.
Yeah.
Because actually, she has a scene I think is kind of sweet.
Which one?
I really like the scene when she's like, "Stop focusing on your dad. I fucking raised you."
Yeah.
That scene's quite nice.
Well, it makes sense to kind of just move on.
Yeah, she's just like, "Move on, Peter. Just date Gwen and go to uni."
Look how many people have died since you've investigated this. You know?
There's a train underground.
The train. Oh,
I'm gonna finish off with. We'll finish off with Peter Parker. We'll finish off. With Peter Parker.
I think we'll just. I was gonna say. I think we'll save that.
She becomes a nurse.
Yeah, because she needs to pay the bills.
Because she needs to be in the third act.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes.
That's the only reason she's actually a nurse is just to make her have any kind of challenge in the third act.
Mm-hmm. For some reason, because she wasn't in the third act of the first one. But let's continue.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Right, who else? Fuck. We'll do Harry Osborn.
Yeah, I was gonna say, should we do Dane DeHaan? No, we'll do Gwen.
We'll do Gwen.
Yeah.
So Gwen is the valid. We don't have that. We don't have that here.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, we have head boy and head girl, but
the valedictorian.
Yeah, so she's, doing her thing, doing her speech. Her and Peter are together again because... Okay.
Yeah. Like, the more you watch these films, you kind of realise, why are you going out with him? Like, why are these two people going out with each other? They are much happier, much better not going out with each other.
Well, yeah, but the funniest thing is, because they were broken up at the end of the last film, they're back together at the end of the beginning of this one, just to immediately break up again.
Yeah, straight away, yeah. So
she has her whole speech where she's like, "You're not immortal, we're all gonna die," just to say, I am going to die in this film. So she has her speech.
Spoilers if you've never seen this film, by the way, but...
fuck it. Why'd you be watching this? She has her speech about, I'm gonna die soon. Mm-hmm. Peter breaks up with her. Yeah. Then he stalks her for a bit.
Yeah.
Then she's still working in Oscorp, even though she, broke in last time and fucked with some shit. Also, why is she working at Oscorp?
Pay the bills because her father's dead.
No, she worked in Oscorp in the first film.
No, it was an internship, wasn't it?
No.
No, she's not working with Dr. Connors for some reason.
Yeah, but
for some reason, Adam, let's continue. Go on. Let's just go on. Like, it is amazing. Like, if people defend these movies, if you actually break these down, just even by character, you see the faults and the cracks appear in these films. But go on, let's continue.
So, then she's like, I'm going to go to England to go to uni. I'm just like,
yeah, because I want to leave the city because it's a fucked up city because there's going to be like about, 6 villains trying to kill you, Peter. So you should leave too, but let's go.
Yes, then she's like, I'm going to go to uni. I might not get it, but I might get it. And then she gets it. It's not like, she has to work hard to get it. She just kind of does.
Yeah.
There's actually no reason to actually have that.
She's
There's no reason
to
have this. There is no reason to have the subplot of her not knowing if she's going to get it or not.
Build tension, Adam. Come on.
What tension?
Just
the tension was all.
She might, stay.
She might not
go.
No, but I thought the whole stay or go thing was based on her relationship with Peter, not on if some other kid was going to beat her in the test.
Oh, but do you know who was on the test?
Who?
Harry Osborn.
Was he?
No.
Alright.
Wait, I love what you said, really. Like, that would make it. Then again, it's that kind of a film where something like that would happen.
Oh, it's that kind of dumb fucking movie.
That's actually why Peter's very. That's actually why Green Goblin kills her at the end. You beat me at my test. I'm gonna fucking kill you.
I wanted to go to Oxford. And so after that, she finds out she's going to uni. Then Peter kidnaps her and takes her onto a bridge, and then they start shifting on it.
Yeah.
Then Electro attacks the whole city, and she's like, I'm gonna fix your web shooters because I'm smart.
Here's a magnet.
Here's a magnet.
Peter, why didn't you fucking figure this out? And he's standing there like, yeah, right enough, I'm kind of like, it's meant to be like the smartest character in these films.
Then she steals a police car.
Oh, yeah.
And drives to the final battle to die.
Yeah.
Oh no, but she also gets because then her and Peter go on dates when they're not dating and they're like trying to catch up. Then she gets super pissy because he has to save a bunch of people and she's like, you left, and he's like, these people were gonna die.
But for some reason, she always gets a bit annoyed because Peter will look at her, look off in the distance, have a shocked expression, then be like, no, we have to break up, and she'll be like, why?
And then, so
like,
she goes
if you think about it from her point of view, that does look fucking weird.
It's such a weird film. But then her and Peter decides that he's going to go to England with her. Christ knows how he's going to pay for that.
Yeah.
Because the whole film is established that he's fucking broke.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm going to go to England. It's like, do you know how much that costs?
Yeah.
You know how much uni costs?
He's friends with Harry Osborn.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. They've been best buds for years.
It's like when I left the podcast for about 10 weeks and came back like nothing happened. When Harry shows up in this film. And then Gwen goes to the final battle to die and then dies.
Yeah.
And then Peter listens to her speech where she's like, yeah, I'm like super gonna die, but I'm dead now. And that's it for Gwen Stacy. Carrie's now. What did he do to Han?
Oh, of course, you'll do Dane DeHaan next. Best character in the film.
Dane DeHaan gets... Apparently Norman Osborn's dying, because we find out in the last film that Norman Osborn's going to die, so that's why he...
Character we have not seen.
That's why they're doing the whole lizard thing.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at splicing DNA of different animals to take their healing abilities.
Yeah, like they take blood from certain animals.
So then he rocks up on the scene completely fine, by the way. He doesn't seem to be in ill health at all.
And then Norman's just like
no,
I
mean Dane DeHaan.
Oh, Dane DeHaan. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, he's rocks up and he's just like fine.
He's just a bit skinny, but
he's supposed to be only like 18 years old. And then Norman just goes, oh, so by the way, you're gonna die. I know I live to be like in my 60s, but you're gonna die within like maybe a year.
Yeah.
For some reason. Because you have the Osborn curse.
Osborn curse! I fucking love it. No, but I love how, like, up until this point, because we've seen, like, footage of, like, Norman Osborn, he looks completely fine. He's probably in his, like, 40s, late 40s in those photos and stuff.
Yeah.
Then again, Photoshop.
He's just completely fine. But no, then Harry's just, like, quickly dying for some reason.
Yeah.
And then Norman dies. Harry takes over Oscorp at, like, 18. Because with Spider-Man 2, they were supposed to be like young adults, but they were adults.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah, they were adults. Yeah,
yeah, they were.
they were
I think
definitely adults.
They're supposed to be like early 20s in Spider-Man 2, which is
Yeah.
kind of make a bit more sense that he was taking over.
Yeah, because it had been like it had been like at least 2 years at that point.
Yeah, but in this one, he's like, he just takes control at 18,
Yes,
and he's running a company, fires everyone.
But the little cube he's playing with, Adam, the little cube
Oh
thing.
my god, the fucking cube, the weird
The
USB cube. Hits on his assistant, which could probably get him, a sexual harassment case.
Yeah.
Um,
Who's Black Cat?
who is Black Cat for some reason.
Yeah.
You all work for Felicia. Because Felicia
He acts so weird.
works for me.
Joe, I love, he's just playing his character from Chronicle.
Oh, entirely. That's literally what they asked for, though.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
They're like, oh, so you did Chronicle.
But the difference
yeah,
is Chronicle's actually quite an alright film.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's given time to show how fucking deeply
he gets a
fucked his
whole
character is.
in an hour and a half, he gets more character development than he does in this film.
Yeah. So then he's like... So he somehow puts together that Spider-Man was made in Oscorp.
Yeah.
Somehow.
But how wouldn't you know?
I guess it's probably on the cube.
Yeah, the cube, Adam. Do you know the cube had all the answers. Because it was kind of like in BVS where they opened up all the files and it had all the stuff there.
Oh my god, because it's hilarious. Because he opens up that cube that's literally exists to tease other films.
Oh yeah,
There's
it
this
is
thing
just a
called-
bunch of Easter eggs.
There's a Doc Ock Easter egg. There's
Yeah.
a Venom Easter egg. There's a thing that says Dr. Michael Morbius.
Yeah. Oh, there is. Yeah.
Like, it was just all setting up future films.
Yeah.
So then he says, you know what? Peter just shows up at his house and he's like, yo, what up? We're best friends. And Harry's like, no, we're not. He goes, sure, we actually are, aren't we?
Yeah.
Changes his mind like immediately.
Yeah.
He's super unfriendly for some reason.
Yeah.
Then they go on a nice walk together
Skimming stones.
and then never interact as friends for the rest of the film again.
Yeah, but they're good friends because in the previous film. Wait, he wasn't in the previous film, was he?
No.
Oh, you see, this is where the cracks appear. Why wasn't he in the last film?
I don't know, because they had the series very well planned as well.
Because they were obviously going to have Harry in it.
Yeah.
But then again,
So
you'd have
weird,
too
or
many
even-
characters in that
Or
film.
even a reference, like his Marvel's Spider-Man, the game, did it quite well.
Mm.
Where they keep
Yeah.
referencing that Harry's not there.
He's like away. Well, I think I think that's actually a good way to bring it in, but I think they do the whole disease better in that game because it's obviously his mother who had the disease and has passed
Yeah.
on. So like Norman Osborn being there makes kind of sense. But then again,
And,
that was written by competent people.
and had more time to get made than this fucking piece
Yeah.
of shit.
But continue.
So then he's like, hey, Spider-Man, get me his blood. And he's like, no, but I'll see what I can do. Then he swings back in as Spider-Man and goes, hell no, you might die. And he's like, I'm gonna die anyway,
Yeah.
please.
I don't.
But then, he breaks into a prison somehow, fights off like
Yeah.
5 armed guards with his bare hands and like a taser, and breaks Electro out of jail,
I know there's.
and then is on his deathbed.
Yeah.
Next time we see him, he's on his. Within like a month, he goes from finding out he will die, he's sick, to being on his deathbed
Yeah.
and crawling, being like, "Oh,
Yeah, because
there's
it was
more
about
Spider-Man."
a month.
It's about a month.
Yeah.
Why? And he's like, "Yeah, why need Spider-Man's blood?" But apparently, they had his blood the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just there for some reason.
Do you know who
In
wrote
the
this
big-
film?
Who?
From the writer of Mission Impossible 3, Transformers, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, Cowboys and Aliens, right? I've been saving this one for you, The Mummy.
Okay.
So, we know who we're dealing with there.
Yeah. Then he becomes the Goblin, and then he flies into the third act to kill Gwen.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then in the end he's like, I'm gonna form a team of sinister people.
Well, shouldn't we have a league of our own? Yeah, no, I don't. I don't really. I don't know. I think I understand
is
the design
awful.
they're going for. Like, I think the costume's quite alright. It's just kind of like the head. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, I honestly think they should have gone. Funny, because Electro they shouldn't have made a different color
Yeah.
in terms of making him blue. But I almost think they should have just made Dane DeHaan green.
Yeah. Because his father's green,
Yeah.
you know, when he has the curse. For some reason, Dindahan is not green.
He's a bit green. He just looks like he was out in the sun a bit too
Well,
long.
he's green veins and stuff. I don't know, it's very strange. Probably
He just looks like
someone
he's
would
quite
move
badly
on.
sunburned.
But I don't know why a suit like that wouldn't have a helmet.
Yeah.
You know.
Why do they have that stuff? Because it's so. Why are Oscorp making all this stuff like in any way?
Because they want to,
Because-
you know, the
Well,
man.
Well, I thought it made sense because their whole thing was they were splicing DNA to try and basically solve a lot of illnesses.
Well, mainly the illness of Norman Osborn.
Yeah, it's like his
Yeah.
whole kind of. And in the original film, it's all about they're just making weapons for people.
Yeah,
So that's why they have like all this goblin kit made.
yeah, yeah.
But why do they have like there is no way that Norman Osborn wasn't planning to have a team of supervillains.
Well, 100%. But, like, Dry's thought was, yeah, because there's a fucking room
Is
where
a room
it looks like the Avengers facility, but evil. But also, this raises another point. I know why they cut the Venom, like, because you know how, like, Venom was in the trailer? You know, the ball of the symbiote was in the trailer.
Oh
They swapped it out in the film for, I think it was like Doc Ock's arms or something like that, right? Or the
I think it was
Vulture's
Vulture's wings.
something like that, yeah. But I completely understand why now, because it would create a massive plot hole as to, well, why didn't you just, you know, throw this stuff on him? You know,
Because it was also coded to Peter's blood.
Oh.
Alright, we get to Peter.
Well, this is the big one. I mean, this is where many of the faults lie in the film, because of the connections between the characters. But go on, yes.
Right, so film starts, Peter's just swinging about doing his thing. But he is also haunted by Gwen Stacy's dad. Just sees him everywhere. And his fun face.
Yeah.
Um,
I love how he
Breaks-
got paid just to stand and look at Peter Parker, like look at the camera for like
funniest
3
part is-
scenes.
I think they paid to use the back of Martin Sheen's head.
Oh God.
Because I think that is Martin Sheen when they do the flashback.
Oh really?
But I'm assuming it was a longer scene.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Because I remember them announcing that he was coming back.
All right.
I could be wrong though.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Continue.
So then, yeah, so he's swinging about, breaks up a Gwen. Then he does Spider-Man things for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like, yeah, he just does Spider-Man stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Stalks Gwen
Mm-hmm.
very badly.
Yes.
Then, then, as we said, yeah, he runs into Harry, because he's like, yeah, your dad died, my dad died too.
Hmm.
And we're lifelong friends.
Hmm.
As we've always been.
Yeah.
Oh dear. And then gets back with Gwen on a date. Then fucks off and fights Electro.
Yeah.
Saves some people. Tries to fix his web shooter.
Mm.
Fails.
Gwen
Decides
does
that
it
he wants to investigate his dad's death again.
with the train,
Fucks a calculator at a wall and a bunch of coins come out.
which is amazing.
And like, he Googles things really weirdly. 'Cause
Yeah.
He goes like, train plus coin plus calculator, and he just Googles that and it comes up.
Washington. And obviously
Yeah.
George Washington comes up on the face of a coin.
Like, and then he goes to this train station. How does he get in?
Mm.
I can understand if he was in a Spider-Man suit and he kind of
It literally just looks like a set. Because there's like
Yeah.
one entry point.
It looks like some Disneyland like interactive.
Yeah.
When you know the Disneyland things aren't rides, but they're kind of like shows that
Yeah.
they do like once an hour.
Yeah.
It looks like that. Like the Disney stunt show
Yeah.
with the train sequence. puts a coin in. Peter's dad somehow managed to build an underground base in a train in an abandoned station, where he finds out that
Played by the guy from House of Cards.
and he finds out, hey, that it was coded to you. Only you could be Spider-Man.
Yeah. But what does that mean? Does that mean he was like lying breadcrumbs for years, hoping that he'd walk in there? Because the whole thing about Spider-Man is it's kind of like Batman. This is probably, to me, like, this is why probably like Daredevil, Spider-Man, and Batman are like my three kind of favorite comic characters. Because it's like anyone could have fallen into that situation and become that character.
Yeah.
It's not the fact that these three people, that Matt Murdock, Bruce Wayne, and Peter Parker, were destined to become this character. You know what I mean?
I think the Ultimate Spider-Man did the same thing, though.
What, that it was just like, oh, you're
Destiny,
destined.
yeah.
I see that.
I think they did do something along those lines.
Well, I think there was something very much in the ending. Where it was
We'll
like, oh
get to the
yeah,
ending.
he knew, what was going to happen at the end of those comics.
And then, so he gets fully back with Gwen. He's like, I'm going to move to London with you. I'm going to live in a box, but it's grand.
Yeah. He can pay with it with these coins he found in the calculator.
Why doesn't he just live in that train forever? Or something?
Yeah, like in free rent, and there's power going to it for some reason. I don't know why his brother must have had a lot of money. I don't know why he didn't inherit a ton of money.
Because he spent all his money on that fucking train and that private jet.
Good point.
And then he gets back with Gwen, but then the third act needs to happen.
Yeah.
So
With
he
the
fights
fourth
off-
act.
He fights off Electro, and then Gwen dies.
Yeah, because the Green Goblin picks her up and throws her down fucking...
Cries about
clock.
Gwen, and he's like, oh, she died. Listens to her speech. He's like, nah, I can still be Spider-Man.
Yeah. And then he sees the kid and he's like, yo, remember me? Here, I'm going to throw this fucking...
I'm going to do the last shot of the trailer.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen the end of Venom already. The new Venom film.
Probably have.
Because they've probably put in the trailer.
This is kind of where the issue comes in. We didn't spend very long on that because we kind of talked about him and everyone else's. But then there's the famous deleted scene.
The alternate ending?
Where, at Gwen's
grave.
At Gwen's grave.
Gwen's grave.
Gwen's grave.
Gwen's grave.
Gwen's
that is
grave.
hard to say, isn't it? Gwen's grave, yeah.
Dieter's dad comes up. Peter's dad comes up and he's like, yo, I'm alive. And he's like, how? We saw you in plane crash. He's like, where have you been? He's like, there's a perfectly good
There wasn't a
explanation for
parachute. There wasn't a parachute.
I mean, that's why they cut it, to be fair. But
Yeah.
Some...
One of the many things you could cut from this film.
But Peter's dad's like, yeah, well, come on, like, don't be a dick and be Spider-Man. He's like, where have you been?
Yeah.
And then...
That's probably the most natural Peter Parker acts in that entire film. Because it's like, yeah, no, you would completely be like, what the fuck are you doing here?
He says, like, who are you? Why are you here? And
Yeah.
he's like, it's okay, Peter. Where has he been?
Has he been stalking him the whole time? He
Has
must
he been
be.
living in the train?
Yeah.
Where has he been?
He actually snuck into the house, put the coins in the calculator, because like after he was like, oh fuck, I forgot to put the coins in the calculator. So he snuck back, put them in there, and then snuck out.
I don't know. And then, we never saw Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker again until we may do this December.
Well, we were going to see him again in the Amazing Spider-Man 3, but
and the Amazing Spider-Man 4.
Yeah.
And the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
And
which
Black
was a
Cat.
separate film. It was an actual film about the Sinister Six.
So, to my knowledge, this is how Amazing Spider-Man 3 was going to go.
Yeah.
So, it was going to be Venom, among other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, they were going to introduce the black suit,
Mm-hmm.
and they were going to introduce J. Jonah Jameson. They were going to introduce Mary Jane. Peter's dad was going to be back. Peter's dad was going to be back. And then, I've heard different things. One of the things I heard was, basically, the Sinister Six just would have been like, hey, that suit's dumb. This was in the leaks, emails where is it Amy Pascal?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, was this the Sony hack?
This is this from the
From
Sony hack.
2014?
So I want to
Yeah.
be fair because she isn't a writer. She was literally just saying like do something along these lines.
Yeah.
And it seems to him like he gets the black suit, and then the Sinister Six were like gonna make fun of him about the suit, and then he was gonna cry and take it off, and then Eddie Brock was gonna get it.
Shut the fuck up.
It was gonna be something. It was something ridiculous. And then he was like gonna have to ask the Sinister Six for help to stop Venom.
Oh, really?
And then yeah,
That's
and
actually
then,
kind of interesting.
and then but
Just
then
the
they would
whole
have been
blood
like,
thing and all is kind of stupid, though, but...
yeah, I don't know if they would have been like no or not.
Well, did you mention the blood?
What, Peter's blood?
Yeah, Peter was going to use his blood to bring back Gwen
I haven't
Stacy.
gotten that yet.
Oh, right.
So, but we don't know if it was going to be his blood or he was just going to put the symbiote on people and that was going to bring them back to life.
No, it was his blood.
I assume the symbiote would
Well,
have
it
been
was also
worked in
because the
somehow.
fact that they've been foreshadowing the blood so much. In
The
both
symbiote was
films.
definitely going to be involved with the blood, though, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was probably going to be like the missing link.
So they were also introducing Cletus Cassidy, who wasn't going to be insane,
Right.
but he was going to become Carnage. So then they could do the Venom movie.
Made him insane?
I don't know what they were going to do, but they were going to introduce him to basically just do the Venom film.
Right.
They were going to introduce Black Cat.
But they were also introducing
properly.
Eddie Brock in this film.
They were also introducing Eddie Brock.
Yeah.
They were potentially bringing back Captain Stacy and Gwen Stacy. Most likely some form of Spider-Gwen.
Well, you know what the weird thing is? No Way Home just feels like this film.
Yeah, quite literally.
Like, this is probably what they wanted to do, was exactly what No Way Home is.
Yeah, and at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, they revealed the Sinister Six lineup. It was going to be Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Craven, Mysterio,
Vulture.
Vulture, and I can't remember who was the last one.
Was it Chameleon? No.
Might have been Chameleon. No, was it going to be Scorpion?
No, Lizard.
I don't think it was going to be Lizard.
You think?
They had 6 people at the end of Amazing Spider-Man. No, it was Rhino. What am I on about? It was Rhino.
Oh, yeah.
Of course it was Rhino.
Yeah. He had the costume in the wee suit area.
Yeah, so and it was going to be Rhino.
I think the way they were going to do that was Lizard was going to act more as a help to Peter from prison in a way. I imagine that's what they were going to try and do.
Maybe. So that was all going to happen in like one film. Or maybe it was Amazing
I would
Spider-Man.
love to see that film. I wish
Like,
that film existed.
I don't know how much they would have just spread all those plot points over Amazing Spider-Man 3 and 4. But this was the plan for the franchise moving forward, was to basically just do all this.
I wish we got... I mean,
No,
obviously...
fuck, I remember what Amazing Spider-Man 4 was going to be.
What?
So after Amazing Spider-Man 2 didn't perform as well as expected, they wanted to wrap up they wanted Amazing Spider-Man 3 to wrap up some stuff and also introduce some new stuff.
Toby thing?
And then that was Amazing Spider-Man 4 was going to be Tobey 2099 and Andrew
Yeah.
Garfield in some form of a team up.
Yeah. I don't know what they'd be fighting after Sinister Six, like... Galactus, you know.
I'm trying to think. Maybe they would have done a planet symbiote thing.
And bring Null and stuff in. Although Null was quite a normal... Well, Null was very 2013. Null's only been about since 2013. Because there's rumours now that they're trying to set up for a big Null movie for...
I heard something else. I heard it was going to be someone else. Who did I hear? No, never mind. No, I just heard it was going to be Vigo as Mortensen, maybe as Null.
Yeah. No, but
Yeah,
what I've heard is like they're setting up that like there is going to be this massive crossover where it's going to be like every Spider-Man against, you know, Null and Venom against Null and like basically all like Morbius and stuff. Like, don't know how, like basically an end game of Spider-Man. You know,
Potentially even Nick Cage as Noir.
yeah. He'd so do that.
I'd be up for that.
Well, the good thing about that is he would just have to voice him. You wouldn't even need to have him in costume.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Because he's all covered up.
So it was really going to go down this kind of rabbit hole, but at the same time that this was all being planned, they had Marvel emailing them saying, this is the time, put him in the MCU.
Yeah.
And one of the things, so they had a big falling out with Andrew Garfield because the event they were going to announce all these future Spider-Man plans officially. It was a big event in China, and Andrew Garfield phoned in sick. And they sacked him.
Yeah. Well, I think that was just like the straw that broke the camel's back in a way, though. Like, I think it wasn't sort of all because of that. I think it was just a series of events that were just like, all right, no, we just may as well, because just there had been so much wrong. But weirdly enough, both these films were both, quite successful.
They were successful on paper, but they just underperformed what they wanted.
Yeah, they made both of them made at least over 700 million.
Yeah, because Spider-Man films,
which are great for standalone, superhero films, in a way, that aren't related to the MCU.
They were both less than Spider-Man 3.
Oh yeah, no, I knew that. Oh, I think they've been less than every Spider-Man film up until that point.
I don't know if they were less than Spider-Man 1.
No, Spider-Man 1 was...
Actually, I think Spider-Man 1 might be the most successful in that trilogy.
No, third one was the most I checked before.
That was more.
Spider-Man 3 was nearly 900 million.
Mental.
The first one was like 700 and something million. Second one was, again, 700 and something million. Bit less. But yeah, no, I think these were like the most underperforming ones.
Yeah. So let's talk about how this is the modern day Spider-Verse in relation, will we? Oh, another thing that was apparently heavily rumored at the time, because Agent Carter was made. So they wanted their own Agent Carter, and it was going to be Aunt May as a spy. Yeah, it was going to be a prequel.
Well, there's also other spin-offs, such as like the Black Cat film.
I already said that.
The
Silver Sable.
Silver Sable. Stuff like that. And there was also that, but also a team-up movie between the two in that. It was very strange.
That was a bit later on. They wanted that in the MCU.
Oh yeah, that was post Amazing Spider-Man, yeah.
So, Venom ended up getting made.
Yeah. After 3 delays.
Yeah, we don't know I don't know if we know who was going to be Venom in Amazing Spider-Man.
Well, at one point they were going to do the whole Flash Thompson one. And then they decided not to. And then, they were like, no, we want to do Eddie Brock.
Yeah, it was probably going to be Tom Hardy, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was just going to be...
Yeah, I think he's in the running since 2015. Or even probably 2014.
Probably since Warrior, I'd say.
2011?
I'd say that's around the time they were like, yeah, he could be Venom.
Well, post Rises.
Yeah. So, the legacy of these films. So, as we know, Andrew's probably back.
Yeah.
In Far From Home. He's the one I'm least excited to see.
Well, I'm more excited to see how... I think he's the one I'm more excited for in a film like that, because he's the Spider-Man that can just swing about. He's the Spider-Man that I think works in a way that he can swing about and quip, and it makes sense for his character. Whereas the other two are very sort of like, no, hold on, this is a very serious situation.
No, I wouldn't agree with Tom, though. I would agree with Toby.
What, being serious and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I know that. But even, Tom in fighting his villains, he's very serious. When he's fighting Mysterio... Well, not Mysterio. When he's fighting, the water monster for the first time, he's not joking about and stuff.
That's true.
I think Andrew can, fighting Electro, he's just having a laugh. The only reason Goblin is a serious situation is because Gwen's,
Yeah, but I also think he has the greatest chance to be redeemed.
Yeah.
Because I'm content with Toby's.
Oh yeah, I don't think I have any complaints. I think my problem is I don't mind Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I just wanted him in a better film.
Yeah, he could have been a great Spider-Man. And I hope he did enjoy it if they do it, because I know these films broke him. He's a very good actor.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've seen that before and after these films.
Yeah.
Even during.
He's a very good actor, and he's just...
He got a bad script by,
And part of me would hope that this might not be his last. I've heard rumours that they are more willing to explore Amazing Spider-Man 3 and Spider-Man 4.
Yeah.
I don't
Especially
see that
now,
happening.
because there's this kind of like hype.
I really don't see them that happening.
Well, oddly enough, I see them continuing more with Andrew Garfield than Toby.
Oh, yeah, same. At least in terms of more solo films,
Yeah.
I would see them doing it with.
Or just even cameo appearances. Because with Toby, it's kind of like, he's late 40s now, isn't he?
I would disagree, depending on how much Sam Raimi's going to be involved.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Because I'd actually really like to see interactions between Tobey's Spider-Man and Mark
just for
Ruffalo's
me,
Hulk.
Toby's Spider-Man was done. That's
Yeah.
the only reason why. I'm like, well, Andrew's was only started, so that's why I kind of...
Tobey doesn't really need an arc in this new film. He can just be a mentor
can
character.
just show up and then disappear, and that's it. You know.
Apart from if they do it. Yeah, I think it's Sony do want to do, as you said, Null, is it?
Null, yeah. It's like the Venom God, essentially. It's where all symbiotes spawned from.
So I've heard, and that will probably, they'll want Tobey and Andrew for that. I've heard they might stay in the universe. We'll probably talk something, we'll bring this up, because I think we'll have...
And Venom one, I'd say.
I think we'll know a little bit more after Venom of what's happening.
Yeah. And then, obviously, a lot more in Tom Holland one. We'll be talking more about No Way Home, because I assume 2 more trailers will have, or at least 1 more trailer will have released by then. But,
yeah. I think we're getting 2 of Andrew's villains.
Yeah.
In this new film.
Well, we're not sure whether Jamie Foxx's Electro is that Electro yet.
But it is Jamie Foxx as Electro.
It is Jamie Foxx as Electro.
And we don't know what... We know there's a version of the Lizard.
Yes.
We are currently unaware of what version of the Lizard. Because it's Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina, Jamie Foxx.
But the thing is,
Thomas...
what Willem Dafoe is that?
Yeah.
As well.
We'll find out.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting. I like that kind of mystery about it.
I like not knowing.
That's kind of been Amazing Spider-Man, isn't it?
That was...
Pretty much it, wrapped up.
Yeah. There's not much else.
I think the only time we'll talk about Amazing Spider-Man again is
After
obviously in
Spider-Man.
Venom. And, our Spider-Man one. But I assume we'll do another kind of like... We'll do like a big Spider-Man episode.
After Far From Home.
No Way Home.
No Way Home. I keep saying Far From Home. I think I've been saying it I think I've said it about 8 times this fucking episode.
But
Alex is actually going to have to go back and dub over it. It's just him saying No Way Home every time.
Yeah, it's just like No Way Home. Like that really close up.
It's just like a Google Translate, just voiceover.
Yeah. Or just the AI. I'll get your AI. An AI to replicate your voice. But yeah. So yeah, no. Thank you all for listening. Thank you to Buzzsprout for hosting as always.
And don't you know, we're the state of podcasts.
Yeah, and check the Instagram and State Podcasts for any updates and little clips from the show. But yeah, we'll be back next week for Venom. That should be interesting.
Knock knock, let the devil in.